Hey everybody, Keith Shampine here of Kart Lounge, here at my home office in Charlotte, North Carolina, and trying something a little new, a little different here for us at Kart Lounge. Going to do a podcast. This is a pre-recorded show. Right now it's Friday morning, and there's been a lot of racing that's been going on in April and here in early May, and this is something that we wanted to do the last few months. We've got some new equipment, talking into a Logitech camera here. I got a microphone here and just want to kind of test out our equipment. Have some podcast software that we're working with, and going to upload this to our YouTube page and post it on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and get it out there. See how it goes, and maybe in a few weeks here we'll do another one. That's the goal anyway. And have a guest or two. Talk to some people. I do have a couple of interviews we're going to include in this deal. I'm going to edit them in here. Some interviews I got at the Carolina Motorsports Park Cup Karts race here a couple weeks ago. So it won't be just me talking, but I'll try to kind of get through this as quick as I can tonight, this morning rather, and not make it too long, too drawn out. See how it works, see how the quality is, and then we'll try another one and hopefully have a couple of guests on in our next one. This is something that we wanted to do, and happy to do it here. Before we start, just want to thank the people that support Kart Lounge and my efforts in going to all these go-kart races, mainly four-cycle sprint races and road races, and doing some coverage on our Facebook and our YouTube with the onboards and our Instagram page, which is growing. I want to thank TS Racing, Todd Spotty and his whole group, tsracing.com. They've come on here recently as a sponsor of ours. MGM Chassis, Paul and April Rice, mgmchassis.com, a longtime supporter. Coyote Motorsports, coyotekarts.com, another American chassis manufacturer. Long time, probably my first big supporter in karting when I got involved on the industry side of things about 15 years ago. AEM Karting, Mick Gabriel, shout out to Mick for a really good run at the Stars race at GoPro about a week ago. Qualified P1 in KA Stars. AEM Karting's been a supporter of ours for a couple of years now. And Precision Performance Karting, PPK, John Seglum, a Coyote Motorsports dealer, as well as Odenthal dealer and a bunch of other products in karting. They're a supporter of ours as well. PPK Karting, or ppkartingfl.com is PPK's website. Associate sponsors, Roll Speed Performance, Scott Heath and their chassis line, and Kyle Luttrell Racing Ionic Edge Chassis. Don't want to forget them. They've helped us out for a number of years. Series and clubs we work with, real quick: AKRA, American Kart Racing Association, their road racing series; Woodbridge Kart Club up in Virginia, road racing series again; WKA, CKNA, of course, and new to our list here, Vintage Karting Association. Just took over as the webmaster for VKAKarting.com. So thanks to all those folks for helping us out as well. So anyway, there was a lot of racing in April. It was a busy 3 weeks, 3 week stretch. Really started the middle of the month, April 14th through the 16th. There was like 4 races that weekend. I was up at OVRP, Oakland Valley Race Park in Cuddybackville, New York, for the first standalone CKNA Northeast race. Worked as race director up there with Tony Cirillo, and Steve Vermeer was there as the tech person, and all the group from CKNA had a good weekend up there that we'll talk about. That same weekend, GoPro was in action with their karting challenge, or I should say it was GoPro back then. Now it's Trackhouse Motorplex, renamed facility. Woodbridge Kart Club that we mentioned, they were in action at Summit Point, Shenandoah. They had a pretty good crowd there. And WK was in action with their first Gold Cup North round at Newcastle, and had around 50 go-karts out there. Real quick, winners at Newcastle. Henry Wheeler won the Senior 360 race both days. That was their biggest class up there. I think they had about 13 entries. Adam Maxwell on a Coyote, he was second on Saturday. And Clay Settles, who's a friend of ours at Kart Lounge, he was P2 to Henry Wheeler in the Sunday 360 main event. Ayrton Grimm was a double winner in junior. Steve Lyons was a double winner in masters. And they have a new featherweight class where you can run, juniors can actually run it. It's age 14 and up. Junior driver has to be 14 years old and can also be in the junior class, the junior yellow, I think it is. They can double dip and run senior and junior for a year. I don't believe there were any juniors running in that class, but it is a new division. Hopefully maybe we'll see it here see some juniors running it in the future this season. Eli Warren and Keegan Clark split the wins in that featherweight class, and again, it's age 14 and up, where a junior driver can run at age 14 against the seniors. But again, I don't think there were any juniors running it. They had 7 or 8 in that class, so we'll see how that deal pans out. Gold Cup Series kind of trying to find their own identity. They've been lumped in a little bit with the Maxxis series that retired a couple of years ago. They've followed CKNA's lead on a couple things, but they're really, trying to find their own identity and do their own thing, and we respect that. Hope WK can get it going. They had a good crowd in this past November at Jacksonville. Haven't had the crowds the first couple of races of 2023, but I talked to some racers up there that were at Newcastle, said it was a good show. Wasn't the greatest turnout, but overall the show was good. It was run well, and people left pretty happy, and we're looking forward to the next one. Now, the next one is at G&J Kartway in Camden, Ohio, coming up. Let me see if I can remember this off the top of my head. June 9 through 11, I believe it is. Pre-entry is open for that race. That's the second round of the North Series. They'll be running at Camden, Ohio, historic little track up there in southwest of corner of the Buckeye State. So we'll look forward to that one with WKA. So going backwards now, let's stay on the same weekend rather. OVRP, we were at Oakland Valley that weekend. First ever Northeast race for CKNA as that the organization continues to grow. Now up to 4 series. Have the Canada Series, which debuted last year. Of course, their original, the North Series, Midwest, they call it the North. It's mainly, Midwest-based series. The Northeast now, and of course the South Series, which we'll talk about, just wrapped up at Kershaw the last weekend of April. So at OVRP, there was right at about 100 entries. They had about 100 pre-entries. I think we hit 100. Todd Barron was on the list. I think he mistakenly entered for the race rather than entering for Kershaw, something like that. So it was really probably like 98, 99 pre-entries. Didn't really pick up anything at the track from what I counted in the results. It looked like they stayed right at about 100 entries for the weekend. I was thinking it was like 110 or something like that, because I always consider there'd be a little bit of at-track, but I didn't seem like there was a lot of at-track entries there. So right at about 100 entries, a good show. Really good turnout for your first one. And again, there was a bunch of races on the same weekend. I think they lost 4 or 5 carts probably to GoPro. I did talk to at least 2 people that probably would have went to OVRP if GoPro wasn't running the same weekend. They may have lost a couple with Summit Point racing the same weekend. That's kind of in the same neck of the woods up there in the Mid-Atlantic to Northeast region. May have lost a couple there, and I think probably what really affected the turnout or what cost CKNA from getting more at that Northeast race was probably because Cincinnati, their North Series, was running the very next weekend. So there were a couple groups there was one group really only from Ohio. AJ Roderick and Emily DeMaster came over from the Midwest. And that was about the only Midwesterners there. From what Cody Lindstrom actually was there as well, and he's an Ohio driver and junior. So there are really only a couple of Midwest people at OVRP. I think we probably would have picked up a few more if Cincinnati wasn't the very next weekend. But again, this Northeast Series kind of came together late in the spring, late in the winter rather. Dates were kind of hard to come by at tracks by that point, so it was kind of a last-minute deal to get the series together. So it still was a really good turnout. 100 entries, you can't sneeze at that. Run down the highlights from the weekend. Largest class was junior, had 25 entries in juniors, so that was a very solid field for juniors. I mean, that's more than a lot of the series have been attracting for the junior class. We see some of these series only have 10 or 12 juniors. GoPro's really light this year in juniors. There are only about 10 of them that have been running. A lot of kids have moved up to seniors, but this was a good field up there. Emil Osman was on a Margay, and he won both days. He won in the rain on Saturday, and he won in the dry on Sunday. Paulie Hart was P2 both days. Let's back up a little bit. Friday, practice day, was 90 degrees up there. I'm an upstate New York native. Granted, I'm from about 3 hours north of where Oakland Valley is, but really rare to have a 90-degree day in April in upstate New York in any part of the state. So it was really hot Friday. Predicted rain for most of the weekend, really, so we were expecting it. And Mother Nature did not disappoint. Saturday, it was really rainy pretty much all day long. And not only that, it was thunder and lightning for a good portion of the morning and the early afternoon. So we had to stop the action, I think, 3 separate times Saturday because of lightning in the area. We just had to clear carts off the track and get everybody into a safe spot while the lightning cleared out. We'd get back going, we'd get a few races in, and it would start lightning pretty close to the track again, so we would stop it again. So we had to stop several times. The last heat race was on the track for round 1 of heats, which was senior medium. And we were getting fairly late into the afternoon with all the stoppages, and we still had another full round of heats to run before we got to the finals. Steve Vermeer and I got together, and we called a quick drivers meeting after we pulled the medium heat off the track because of lightning, and we polled everybody in the meeting. And we were all pretty much soaked head to toe at this point, pretty much everybody there, and asked how many drivers would be willing to, in favor of canceling the second round of heats and just moving straight to finals. And I think probably 95% of the room raised their hand that they were good with that. So the second round of heats were canceled on Saturday, and we went straight to finals, and that actually put us right back on schedule pretty much. And we finished out the day around, I don't know what it was, maybe 6 o'clock or something like that. And got back on schedule and got our finals in and got everybody, go back to their hotel or wherever they were going to dry out and come back for Sunday. And Sunday was a really nice day, about 80 degrees, probably the best day of the weekend. Again, it was pretty warm, but the sun came back out. It was a little damp in the morning. Track dried out during the first round of practice, so we had a full dry day on Sunday. So rain racing on Saturday, dry on Sunday at OVRP. Again, Emil Osman was a double winner in the junior class. I would assume he's leading the points going into New Jersey the next round. Seniors, Hudson Brown was one of the fastest drivers of the weekend, pretty much in every round in light and medium. Hudson on the Snap Ya Neck Coyote, tuned by his stepdad, Chris Cirillo, who is all we'll talk about as well. So Hudson dominated Saturday's race in senior light, won by about 4 seconds over Matthew Darlison. Local racer Thomas Radovoy actually edged Hudson in the medium race later in the day, the last race of the day on Saturday. Radovoy, local runner at OVRP, also a sprint car racer and races a bunch of different things as Radovoy from up there around Oakland Valley area. He works at the track, I believe. And he won the medium final over Brown. It was a close race, and Radovoy came out on top. He's got a lot of laps there. And talk about a home track advantage. And I know 1 or 2 traveling drivers came in there and said, man, there is quite a home track advantage here, because there was names really that I wasn't familiar with at all running up front throughout the weekend, which is a great thing. It's awesome to see new drivers, new faces, new names running up front. And there was a lot of locals that were really tough to beat, whether it was junior or senior competition up there at OVRP. Sunday in lights, Emily DeMaster with Roderick Racing Development. She was on her way to winning. She was really fast. I believe she qualified pole on Sunday rather, in the lights, and she was on her way to winning. Clutch blew apart going into the tight hairpin. We saw the thing fly off the go-kart. Didn't know if there was any contact. Turns out there really wasn't. Just had a mechanical failure. So she that was like 2 laps to go when unfortunately, while leading, Emily had to retire from the race. Of course, she wasn't real happy because she was running very well. Matthew Darlison ended up getting the win in the race. David Baker was second, and Anthony Belagenev was P3. So 3 locals, top 3 in senior light. You don't see that a whole lot at these CKNA races. Usually there's a national runner somewhere there on the podium, but not in this case. Hudson Brown was fast in that race. I believe he had trouble somewhere around lap 5. I can't remember exactly what happened, to be honest with you. There was a mechanical or an incident on the track, but he retired after 5 laps. So Brown was back in the medium race, last race of the day. This was a really wild one, and definitely the most drama-filled race of the day. And to recap that, Hudson Brown... Let's see. Hudson crossed the stripe P1. Thomas Radovoy crossed the stripe P2. And Anthony Belagenev, apologize if I'm messing up that name. He was P3 across the stripe. So Hudson was penalized. There was a pending penalty coming for Hudson. Made contact with Anthony with a couple laps to go. Officials deemed it penalty worthy as he advanced the spot. So Hudson was going to be penalized to P3 or P4, and Radovoy was going to inherit the win. Radovoy, of course, did not know this at the time, and he wasn't happy with Hudson due to some things that had happened on the track. Everybody was running really hard. I'm not exactly sure what Thomas was so upset about, but he was not happy, and he decided to slam into Hudson's kart coming to the scale line. Just about took out an official, and I really didn't have to do anything because I was in the middle of the track, and by the time I even got over there, CKNA Brass, Steve Vermeer, and others had already taken care of Radovoy and told him he wasn't going to be welcome back to the series for a while. So Radovoy was going to end up the winner, which he did not know at the time, and ended up not winning and potentially getting suspended instead. So definitely a lesson to drivers. Don't see how things shake out before you slam into somebody at the scales. And Thomas is a nice guy too, nice kid. I hated to see tempers flare a little bit there. So Anthony Belagenev ended up getting the win across the stripe P3. One driver was penalized for on track, and the other driver penalized for unsportsmanlike after the race. And Anthony ended up getting the win. Congratulations to him. I know he was really happy. Big smiles on the podium about an hour later. And it was cool to see another local pick up a senior medium win. And I think Hudson Brown will be the points leader in the medium class. I believe he was credited with the P4 in the final rundown. I'm not exactly sure. A couple of locals, I don't have them written down, were P2 and P3. So that was your medium race. Masters was pretty much an all Coyote show. There was about a dozen in the class, and most everybody was on a Coyote. It was pretty impressive for Coyote Motorsports. Anthony Calandro, a Long Island racer, won over a Maryland driver, John Price, on Saturday. Chris Cirillo was third. And then on Sunday, Chris Cirillo came back to win over a fast-running Jason Zobke. Zobke was really quick all weekend, especially in the dry, and a shout-out to Jason, Rochester driver. I remember him from the Gold Cup days back in the day, and he does not race very much anymore, and he showed some good speed over the weekend in his first race back in a while, so shout-out to Jason Zobke. Heavy class, Chris Cirillo won over Radovoy on Saturday. I think a lot of people thought Thomas Radovoy would probably run away with that race, and he didn't. Cirillo was fast and got past him and ended up holding him off to the win. And on Sunday, A.J. Roderick picked up a big win over Cirillo in the dry, and I believe that'll put Roderick and Cirillo probably neck and neck for the top of the point standings in the senior heavy class. I haven't taken a real close look at the points before this, but I'd imagine those two are right at the top of the running order in senior heavy. Brady Atwood is another driver who was up there traveling in from Maryland on the MGM Chassis, and shout out to him. Brady ran really well. Didn't come away with any wins, but definitely showed some good speed, and he's right up there in the points as well, heading to New Jersey. Pre-registration just opened for New Jersey Motorsports Park. They'll be running the Liberator circuit. It's a shorter version of the full circuit at the sprint track at New Jersey. Race is June 2nd through the 4th. I will be up there as race director with Tony Cirillo, event promoter, and the OVRP group, Flagger, assistant race director Gideon, and some other corner workers will be up there as well, officiating. And of course, the senior, the CKNA group will all be there. That is rounds 4 and 5 of the Northeast Series, which will close at Pittsburgh. Rounds 6 and 7 will be the last weekend of July. So looking forward to the next round up at New Jersey here shortly. So moving on to the next weekend, CKNA's, I guess, flagship series, you might call it, the original series anyway, was at the North Series, was at Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, and nice rolling hills out there in southwest Ohio. The town is Batavia. Went up there last year to announce a WKA Man Cup Series race, and really liked the track. Would have loved to have gotten up there for the North race, but I think I took the weekend off that weekend, to be honest with you. I had a lot of traveling the weekends after that. So didn't make it up to Cincinnati. Wasn't there, can't talk a ton about the event. Did want to at least run through the results in the classes that we like to follow, the juniors and the seniors and the masters. Isaac Malkiewicz and Cade Yeager split the junior finals. Shout out to Cade Yeager, his second race on a PPK Coyote after he didn't arrive and drive at Charlotte and ran top 5 all weekend in the 60-some-odd kart field. Showed a lot of speed there at Charlotte, signed on with John Seglum and PPK to become a Coyote driver, and went up there to Cincinnati and ran second to one of the best in the country, we all know, Isaac Malkiewicz on Saturday, and ended up beating Isaac on Sunday. So big shout out to Cade Yeager, Wisconsin driver, on a really good showing so far on that Coyote. Another Coyote driver, James Overbeck, who's got a couple of wins this year so far at Trackhouse. When he shows up there, he's typically about the fastest guy there in the 206 class at Trackhouse, and he was fast at Cincinnati. I'm sure he's got a bunch of laps at the track, being a Cincinnati native, and lives up there. He swept senior light, won both days over his teammate, Christopher Mckeithan. Mckeithan ran P2 on his PPK Coyote behind Overbeck. Medium, Ian Quinn typically runs a Burrell. I'm assuming he was on a Burrell up there as well. He won on Saturday in the medium class, and Eric Fagan on the Rob Kraut-owned MGM continues to show he is one of the top drivers, whether he's running Masters or medium or senior heavy. Anywhere he goes, he's got that number 175 MGM rolling pretty much anywhere he goes, and no surprise, Eric Fagan came away with a win there Sunday in the senior medium race. Senior heavy, Fagan was in this one as well, but didn't win either day. A little bit of a surprise there. Connor Lund took the win. Veteran driver, Connor Lund out of Illinois, I believe. Again, a guy I remember from the Gold Cup days with WKA about 10 years ago. He used to run that series, and he's still around. He won Saturday, and Mark Steele on a Burrell took the win on Sunday in the heavy race. Fagan went purple both days, but things must have happened at the end. Did not end up coming away with a senior heavy win. Shout out here to Sean O'Shea, Masters driver. This is a guy I remember from enduro racing, road racing. He was a 100cc controlled driver for a bunch of years on the WK road racing circuit, among other series, and picked up the Masters win both days in about a 10 or 12 kart field. Good job for Sean O'Shea. I believe this would be his first win since switching over to the sprint side and running with CKNA. I believe these would have been his first couple of CKNA wins. Apologize if I'm wrong on that, but congratulations to Sean O'Shea. Really nice run, and no surprise in Legends, Ryan Cassidy out of Illinois, the Coyote veteran, picked up the win both days in the Legends. MCC recap there. Kershaw. So let's move on to Kershaw. By the way, 122 entries I counted at CKNA race at MCC, so about 20 more than we had up at OVRP. Again, not a big surprise being their typically their biggest series, the North Division, which runs throughout the Midwest. They'll be at Joliet, Illinois, Audubon Country Club here coming up in about a week for rounds 3 and 4 of the North. So I went to Kershaw the following weekend, drove down there Saturday and then again on Sunday. It's only about an hour and a half from my house here at Charlotte. Always good to go down to Kershaw. So this Carolina Motorsports Park, this was the first Vega race since I believe, I'm going to say 2016. Good solid, 7 years, I guess it would be. When AKRA came out and had a series, and it was a Vega Tire series. I believe we were on the Vega Blue back then, and I was part of that series as race director and administrator and stuff. And I believe that would have been the last Vega race at Kershaw until a couple of weeks ago when Cup Karts South was there. And had about 80 entries, a little bit lighter than I would have thought. Again, there was a lot of racing going on the previous weeks. That may have affected it. Maybe would have had some more Marylanders come down for it if it wasn't for the Northeast series coming on board. Not sure. I haven't talked to anybody about that, but probably maybe would have had a few more if there wasn't so much racing going on in April. But anyway, it was still a pretty solid turnout. Juniors and senior lights or mediums, biggest classes. Rain on Sunday affected things. It was really predicted to be a washout after a nice hot day on Saturday, and it didn't end up being that way. There was rain in the area. It rained in the morning, but it cleared out, and it was a pretty dry day for racing. I think most all the heats, round one of heats, and then the main events were all in the dry, and I think pretty much all the heats were as well. I think they qualified in the rain. I got there a little late, so there was rain all over the Charlotte area. I drove down there and drove through a ton of rain, really, and it cleared out by the time we got to the track, so it was a pretty nice day. Juniors was split by a couple of Jacksonville drivers. 103rd Street drivers coming up and won at Kershaw. Ronnie Kleiss on a Coyote picked up the win Saturday, and Brentley Miller on an Eagle picked up the win on Sunday. Shout out to Lucas Theck, Zach Henry, Sawyer Ruzel, and Derek Wargo. They were all competitive throughout the weekend, all up there in the top 3, top 5 all weekend. But your winners were Kleiss on Saturday, Brentley Miller on Sunday. Owen Lloyd ran senior heavy for the first time, and he won both days in senior heavy. Lloyd and Christopher Mckeithan split senior lights. Lloyd won Saturday, and I believe it was, and Mckeithan won on Sunday. And then the opposite in medium, Mckeithan won Saturday. Owen Lloyd came back and won Sunday. Those two were pretty much neck and neck in light and medium rounds all weekend. They were two of the fastest, by for sure two of the fastest, if not the two fastest in attendance. Mckeithan and Lloyd both on Coyotes. Colin Aiken was on a TS Racing VLR chassis, and he had a really solid drive. Last race of the weekend, he ended up finishing a close second to Owen Lloyd in medium. So he was up there throughout the weekend and just about won medium. Shout out to Colin Aiken, the Florida driver, had a really nice run there. Todd Barron, no surprise, went 4 for 4 in Legends and Masters, won both Masters races, won both Legends races. Tim Skinner on the MGM, he was right there with Barron throughout the weekend in Masters, and just about had Barron on Sunday. They both ended up slipping off the track on the final lap in one of the corners, and Barron slipped off, and ironically Skinner slipped off right about the same time, and if it wasn't for that, I think Skinner could have got a run on Todd and possibly made the pass and gone on to the win there, but he had to settle for second in that one. So 4 for 4 for the Dr. Todd Barron out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina. He continues to be one of, if not the top Legends racer in the country for 206, and one of the top Masters racers as well, for sure. Derek Wargo, congratulations on a junior championship. Again, he didn't pick up a win at Kershaw, but was consistent throughout the series, the Louisiana driver, and picked up the junior championship. Barron won Masters and Legends. Aaron Lloyd, Owen's older brother, who was not at Kershaw, still had enough points to pick up the senior heavy championship. And Colin Warren, who was shut out at Kershaw, surprising, still ended up winning the light and medium class championship. So another double championship season for Colin Warren and Cup Karts South. And again, Colin was shut out. Not very rare to see Colin go to a race, a CKNA or a WKA race, and get shut out of victory lane. They were running old tires on Sunday. We had a chance to talk to Colin after the race in front of the Vega trailer and just see how his event went and talk a little bit about karting. So here is Colin Warren talking to us at CMP after the races on Sunday. And here with Colin Warren at the end of Cup Karts South here at CMP. Colin, a rare weekend. You didn't pick up a win, had a second and a third yesterday, a couple of P4s today on old tires. So tough track on tires. Walk us through the weekend from Friday practice through Saturday. Had some rain this morning and clear skies this afternoon.
Yeah, so Friday, we showed up here and struggled. We didn't remember the track being this abrasive, so we showed up and was really struggling with tires and trying to figure out the kart, figure out how to get everything working together. And towards the end of the day, we finally started getting it going. Saturday showed up and we're fast and was able to run up front all day, ended up with a second and third. Light was kind of just a fun weekend. I was already locked up last race, and medium was just be smart, don't do anything dumb, just keep it calm on Saturday and get good points so I can win the championship there. So I think I won both championships. So.
Yeah,
It's fun.
not confirmed yet, but we do believe Colin won both championships. Doing some points racing yesterday. How's that change your strategy going into the weekend, trying to lock out the 2 titles?
Oh, just in the racing, just being safer. I mean, I had an opportunity yesterday in medium to make a move on Mckeithan in the final corner, but decided to back out of it and rather take the second than get crashed out. So,
And again, thanks to Colin Warren for chatting with us, and thanks to TS Racing and Vega Tires for being supporters of what we're doing here at Kart Lounge. Also had a chance to talk with another supporter of ours, Christopher Mckeithan, who rides with PPK and Coyote. His rookie season in seniors started back in December at the last GoPro round or Trackhouse round before he went to Daytona, and he then went to Jacksonville, and he's been running a lot this season. We talked to him a little bit about how much he's been racing thus far and his success. This kid is fast becoming one of the top 206 sprint drivers in the country, and I know he'll be running at New Jersey here in a couple of weeks, or at least that's the plan. So we'll see him up there. And here's Christopher Mckeithan, who we spoke with just before we talked to Colin Warren Sunday afternoon at Carolina Motorsports Park. Here with Christopher Mckeithan of Gastonia, North Carolina. 2-time winner this weekend at Carolina Motorsports Park. Senior medium winner on Saturday, senior light winner today. Finished P3 here in the last race in senior medium. Chris, talk about the weekend. This track's really abrasive on tires. It's been a while since we've been here. It's been a long time since there was a Vega race here. How'd the weekend go on your Coyote?
It was pretty good. We had the Coyote rolling really good for most of the weekend, if not all. And this track, it's really rough on the tires because I feel like these Vegas are a lot softer and they wear a lot faster than the other tires that we run on for the most part.
And how many times do you run down here at Carolina?
I started here about 7 years ago for just a test day to get a feeling in a kart, and then I came down here about 5 years ago, I think just to test, and then that was it.
And I know you finished third in that last race, not the finish you wanted. Overall, how'd you grade your weekend?
I think it was very good, exceptional.
You've been racing a lot lately. You ran GoPro a couple weeks ago, your home track. You ran Cincinnati last weekend, and you're here at Kershaw this weekend. So you've got a lot of time on the Coyote this early season. How's the season been going for you? Has it been a lot to deal with being on the road the last few weeks, or is it just where you'd like to be and been stressful, been a good experience? How's it been going?
It's been a pretty good experience, not too stressful. We just kind of showed up to each track with relatively the same setup, and it's been fast out of the gate.
And how'd it go at Cincinnati last weekend? I saw you ran up front most of the weekend, but didn't pick up a win. Was that true?
No, I ended with 3 second-place finishes in the features and 1 third place in the rain.
And what's your next couple races on the schedule?
I think GoPro in May, and I think the week after that is Cup Karts Northeast at New Jersey, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so you're planning on heading north some this summer to race the Northeast and the North Series?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good deal. Who do you have to thank for your early season success?
My dad, John Seglum, Jim Lipari, Dave Kohler, GT Machine, my grandfather, and that's about it.
Chris Mckeithan, 2-time winner this weekend at Carolina Motorsports Park for Cup Karts South. And again, thanks to Christopher for catching up with us at CMP, and good luck at New Jersey coming up. We'll see Christopher up at New Jersey along with a bunch of other people. So this race at New Jersey, CKNA Northeast, rounds 4 and 5. First weekend of June, that'll be our next race. Have a couple of weeks off here, and I think that's going to be a pretty big show. Pre-entry just opened for it. They're already up to about 40 entries in something like 48 hours. A lot of the same people we saw up at OVRP, I noticed, are already entered, and I think we're going to have a bunch of people coming from outside that region to run as well. I've been talking with Paul and April Rice. They've got Elmer Edmondson coming up. I believe Dylan Amundsen is supposed to be there. I believe Eric Fagan is going to be there. Christopher Mckeithan is going to be there. I'm not sure about James Overbeck. I haven't talked to them, but certainly wouldn't be surprised to see James out there. So I think you're going to see some hitters coming in. Don't know if Colin Warren's going to make it or not, but I think you're going to see some South people coming in and some Midwest guys come in, make it a little bit bigger of a show than what we had at OVRP. I think it's going to be a pretty well-attended race, and I think Pittsburgh, the last weekend of July, is going to be a really big show up there. Hopefully that we'll have good weather for all that. The following weekend is the second weekend of June, the 9th through the 11th, is WKA North at G&J Kartway. This is the only touring series other than maybe VKA that I'm aware of going to G&J this season. I may be wrong about that, but Gold Cup is going to be there. CKNA is not going to Camden this year, so this will be the only chance really to have a 4-cycle only series, touring series race at Camden the following weekend. And then after that weekend, I will be up to Mid-Ohio with the Dart Kart Club and AKRA, be helping the club out there with race directing duties for the National Road Race, and they already have a ton of entries coming in for that race, something like 120 drivers entered in like 24 hours, something like that. They're up to like crazy numbers for like 24 hours of pre-entry being open for Mid-Ohio. Always a big show up there, and it looks like this year is going to be just as big as it normally is. Thought there might be a little dip this year with a lot of road racing going on early in the season, and the fuel price is still pretty high. But it doesn't look like that's the case. Looks like they're going to be right up around 800-900 race entries again for Mid-Ohio. So that'll be the third weekend in June. And maybe on the road that fourth weekend of June as well. So June's going to be a really busy month. Gonna enjoy a couple weekends off here. We'll be up to GoPro, I'm sure. I believe it's like the 20th and 21st of May. That's right up the road from my house, so I'll probably head up there and at least catch the Briggs Senior race on one of the days at Trackhouse Motorplex. This is the old Kart Lounge logo. Have a new logo out that we debuted back in December, and actually have some visor strips finally came in here. Handed them out to a bunch of people at the road race at NC Car last weekend, and people seem to like them. It's a universal fit for the most part. They seem to fit really good on Bell helmets. They fit good on a Simpson. I put them on my Arai. I had to do a little trim work to it, but it fit good on an Arai as well. Have not tried a Stilo, these on a Stilo yet. But if you're interested in a visor strip, shoot me a message, and we can get you one out in the mail or see you at a race and get you one. Got Kart Lounge decals. This is just a proof version. We're going to change the background to black, and also going to do a version with the kart rather in yellow. Going to have that in black on a white background. So got these die cut decals coming in. Going to try to get them out on some karts. And just raise awareness for the brand and what we're trying to do. We've been doing this for about 2 years. It's kind of a side gig for me, not a full-time job or anything, but we're getting to the point now where we're getting some more supporters and advertisers and partners. Our social media platforms are growing. We are up to 560 followers on Instagram. We've got over 330 something subscribers on YouTube now. And Facebook remains our largest audience. We're up to almost 2,600 followers on our Facebook channel, our Facebook page. So encourage you to subscribe to us on YouTube. If we can ever get to 1,000 followers on YouTube, maybe we'll start to get a couple bucks back from old Google and YouTube. So that'd be kind of cool. So please subscribe to this channel on YouTube. This is what I'm going to be posting these podcasts on primarily. I'll be sharing them on Facebook as well, but for right now, this is going to be a pre-recorded deal. I'm not going to do it live until maybe we get a little more comfortable. Then we'll try some live shows. And going to try to get a guest on or two for our next one. So again, I know this is just me talking today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Hopefully we get some good views, get some more subscribers, and continue to be able to follow kart races. I'm going to something like 15 to 20 races this year, and really enjoy being on the road, going to these deals, and making a living in the karting industry, at least a good portion of my living anyway. So thanks to everybody once again. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Kartlounge.com is our website, and you can check that out as well. And thanks to all of our our sponsors and supporters, TS Racing, MGM Chassis, Coyote Motorsports, PPK, AEM Karting, Ionic Edge Roll Speed, and all the series that support us, that we were able to go to their races and follow it. Appreciate it, everybody. We'll see you next time.